After the kingdom represented by a leopard with 4 heads and 4 wings, after that it says another beast comes up, and it doesn't even tell us what it is. It just says that it is dreadful and terrible, and it stomps everything to death, and there's nothing left after it. And we know that this corresponds to the kingdom of Rome, and Rome dominated the world like no kingdom has ever dominated before. And so you've got this nondescript beast. All we know is that it's terrible. It's like a mighty dragon just blowing fire on the kingdoms of the earth. And the Roman military was like nothing anybody had ever seen. Nobody could even challenge it. So you've got this beast, and it says that it has 10 horns on its head. And then it says also that, and later in the prophecy, Gabriel says those 10 horns represent 10 kingdoms. And it doesn't say anything about that terrible, dreadful beast falling, the 4th beast of Daniel 7. But it says, out of the 10 kingdoms, another one will rise, a little horn, and it will be stronger than the others, and it'll speak blasphemies against the Most High. He'll think to change times and laws, and he'll be stronger than all the other kingdoms. We know that the next thing that happened after Rome was divided is that when Rome became Christianized, the medieval church had an incredible sway on the kingdoms of the earth. I mean, you had the bishops in Rome had so much power that they would leave the King of England out in the snow barefoot begging for forgiveness. The bishops would have to sanction marriages or deny them, or they wouldn't allow people to get divorced. Famously, Henry VIII separated from the main church because he wanted to get a divorce, and the Bishop of Rome would not allow it. And it's always good to have the Bible interpret itself. If the Bible doesn't plainly say what something means in the text, it's good to find its interpretation in another spot, hopefully in the same book. You don't want to be, spreading out too far unless you have to, but there needs to be biblical proof for everything that we believe in the Bible. There's no part of the Bible that should be a private interpretation. When we get to Revelation and you see a dragon, you can't be like, oh, that must represent China, because I went to a Chinese buffet one time and I saw a dragon there, and Chinese people like dragons. Or that's England, because they got dragons there too on their memorabilia and everything. They got traditions about dragons. You can't do that. The Bible has to explain itself. A beast is a kingdom, because it says a beast is a kingdom in Daniel chapter 7, verse 17, and also in verse 23. And so you have this little horn that parallels with the feet of iron and clay in Daniel chapter 2's vision. The next thing that happens in Daniel 7 is it says, and the time came where the saints take the kingdom. That parallels with the rock hitting the image. My friends, saints are not people that work miracles. They're not somebody that's better than you. They're not somebody that isn't a sinner. Okay? All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. I don't care who you are. You're a sinner and you need Jesus. And when you accept Jesus as your Savior, you become a saint, my friend. When Paul wrote to churches, he would say to the saints at Corinth or the saints at Ephesus. It didn't mean that they were perfect. That's how God sees us when we accept Jesus. Saints means holy ones. And you think, holy? I ain't holy. Well, I don't know about you. I'm not either. But here's the deal. When you accept Jesus as your Savior, God looks at you the same way He looks at His Son. And His Son is perfect and holy. So He looks at you as though you have never sinned. He doesn't hold grudges. He's no, I'll forgive, but I won't forget. He's not like that. He's, I'll forgive, and I don't want you to ever mention it again. He's like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. You're forgiven. If you feel guilty after you're forgiven, then that ain't God, man. That's the enemy trying to make you messed up in your head. So when you ask for forgiveness from God, you are forgiven. And God looks upon you as though you had not sinned. He looks upon you the same way He looks at Jesus. Because when you accept Jesus as your Savior, you trade places with Him. He got treated as we deserved. He died, the just one for the unjust, okay? In order for us to get treated like he deserves. It says that we become sons and daughters of God. Just as Jesus was God's son, we become God's son or God's daughter, depending on, who you are. So we trade places with Jesus. That's why we're called saints when we're accepted into the family of God. So next time you see a friend at church, say, "What's up, saint?" Because that's how God looks at us, as saints. Now, I don't think it's really good to walk around and call yourself a saint or righteous or holy. You won't catch me doing that, because I know what goes on up here, and it ain't always good. But I know that when something bad happens or something that's not right, I take it straight to Jesus. I need his forgiveness immediately. I don't want to carry the sin around in my life. It disgusts me. Doesn't it you too? Okay, so I preached a little bit. Forgive me for that. I digress sometimes. Sometimes I get excited about how good Jesus is and how merciful he is, and what he's doing for us and what he can do for you. And I get real excited when I think about the possibility of you accepting Jesus, because it's the greatest experience on earth. I used to do a lot of drugs, and I used to always share them with people and get other people to do them, because I thought that's what all of life was about. I wanted other people to feel good too. I had no idea that I was creating misery for myself and others. But now that I've found Jesus, I've experienced a peace that is greater than any medication or any illicit drug could ever give, or any amount of money or some great scam that you pull off. Having a peace in your conscience and a joy in your life, even if you struggle with depression or financial difficulties or any other kind of difficulties, there is nothing that can parallel that. So I get a little excited sometimes when I talk about Jesus, and I hope that you can forgive that. Now, let's get back to the prophecy, because guess what? In Daniel chapter 8, there's another prophecy. And you're going to see why we're summarizing these prophecies and how they fit in with the kingdom of Pergamos in the seven churches prophecy, which is the whole point of the video. So in Daniel chapter 8, he gets another dream. And at this time, Daniel's a very old man, probably in his 80s or something. It's the third year of Belshazzar. Babylon's only got like 2 years left before it's about to be conquered. It's long gone. And Daniel chapter 8 has got a lot of stuff in it. And when we go in detail in the book of Daniel, we're gonna dig in deep. But right now we're just doing an overview. So here, Daniel gets a vision of a ram and a goat, okay? It says this ram is conquering the earth and all the directions of the compass. Nobody could stand before it. And it became great. And then after that, there's a goat that comes with a big horn on his head, and he charges at the ram and stomps it and crushes it. And it says that goat became very great. But it says as soon as it dominated the earth, the great horn was broken and 4 others came up. Do you already see a parallel here? So this ram, and Gabriel this time just names it. He says in verse 20, he says, the ram which you saw is the kings of Media and Persia. No guesswork there. And then the next one, he says the goat is the kingdom of Greece. No guesswork there. It says the great horn between his eyes is its first king. No guesswork there. That's Alexander the Great. And it's true that as soon as the Grecian kingdom was great, Alexander dies. And then his 4 kings come up. And the goat has 4 horns after this. And it says they point towards the 4 different directions of the earth. But then it says out of one of them comes forth a little horn. Now we know that the kingdom that comes after Greece is Rome. But it's interesting because out of one of them, Rome grows out. Now Rome religiously, and Daniel 8 focuses on the religious aspect of these kingdoms more than any other. There's a whole sanctuary motif that we'll get into at a later time. But it says a little horn grows out of one of those 4 horns, one of the 4 divisions of Greece. Can you name the 4 divisions of Greece after Alexander died? Say it with me. Seleucus, Cassander, Ptolemy, and Lysicamus. Lysicamus had the kingdom of Pergamos. Whoop, we're back to where we started, the city of Pergamos. And so it's I believe, out of that horn grows forth a little horn. It doesn't say which horn that grows out of, but we know that Rome does come out of that little horn religiously for these reasons. Pergamos, that whole kingdom of Pergamos, donated the goddess of Roma, okay, the patron goddess of the Roman Republic and Roman Empire. They also began the practice of emperor worship. That became a key component of Roman culture and daily life. They also contributed the mystery religions, especially the worship of Mithra. That was the religion of choice among the Roman military, and the Roman military was the Roman Empire, if you know what I'm saying. Without the Roman military, Rome would not even have been an empire. They had the greatest military ever seen. And so it was out of Pergamos that they got all those things. All of their religious significance came out of Pergamos. Yes, they were polytheistic, and they took here, there, and little here a little and there a little from the different portions of Greece. You know, they renamed some of the Greek gods after Roman names, Latin names. But it was Pergamos that gave them the goddess Roma and emperor worship and all the mystery religions, especially the worship of Mithra, which was the choice of the Roman military. And we're going to see Mithraism grow up alongside Christianity, and we're going to see elements of it incorporated into Christianity when Rome goes Christian. But now, guess what? We're going to go back to Pergamos.